everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on a very special LinkedIn Live. My name's Catherine and I'm the Director of the Business Data team here at Crinium. Now, we have been running these leading female executive panel discussions every month since September last year. Now, we have taken the time to dive into some extremely hot and interesting topics, and I'm very excited to see them continue. But today, on International Women's Day, we're turning our attention towards talent, business skills, and we'll round off with our brilliant guests sharing some stories of positivity in relation to International Women's Day. Now, of course, I'd love to see your questions in the comments section and your thoughts as well. Now, before we begin, however, I would like to thank all of the panelists we have here today. Now, they've not just turned up today to be placed in the limelight of International Women's Day. These are a group of women who actively seek to do what International Women's Day is about every single day. I'd encourage you all to jump onto their profiles and connect with them now. Now, I'm going to bring everybody up, so a warm welcome to all of our guests. Hello, hello. If I can remind all of the panelists to pop themselves on mute if they're not the one talking, just to help us. But joining us today, we have Nirali Patel, Minna Kärhä, JoAnn Stonier, Maritza Curry, Gershkoff Bolles, Besa Bauta, and Katia Walsh. And I will quickly invite you each to do a quick introduction of who you are and where you're speaking from today. Amy, if you'd like to intro yourself.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much to Catherine and to Crinium for hosting this. Very much enjoy it every month. I'm Gershkoff Bolles, Chief Data Officer at Bitly, coming to you live from the beautiful, sunny San Francisco Bay Area. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Amy, Nirali, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Catherine Crinium, for hosting these events. I do enjoy them as well, as Amy does. So I'm Nirali Patel. I'm from Openreach, and I'm coming from Kent in the UK. I had to look out the window to see if it was sunny or not, but it's just a setting.
I love that. It's sunny here in Cardiff, Wales for once as well, so we can all rejoice in that. Thank you, Nirali. Minna, hello, welcome.
Hello, welcome from my part. Also enjoying these meetings and super excited to be here as well. I'm Minna Kärhä. I'm the data and analytics lead at Finnair, and I'm coming now from southern Finland. And it was sunny day, but now it's dark already, so it's late evening here.
Thank you, as always, Minna. We really appreciate you taking time out of your personal time to come and join us. Katia, hello.
Hello and happy International Women's Day to all these amazing women who are changing the world of business and data. I am joining you today from Bulgaria, where I'm staying with my family for a little bit. This is one of the advantages of being able to work remotely. But I represent with pride what we call the original San Francisco startup. I am Levi Strauss & Company's Chief Strategy and Artificial Intelligence Officer, and we are doing some amazing things with digital data and AI there. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Katia. Exactly. Something we can perhaps dive into later, the perks of remote working, meaning we can join from all over, because I think it'd be very challenging to get you all in a physical room together. So I'm certainly enjoying the virtual. JoAnn, lovely to see you again.
Hi, Catherine, and happy International Women's Day to everyone. And I'm JoAnn Stonier. I'm the Chief Data Officer for MasterCard, and it's lovely to be with everyone again.
Thank you so much, JoAnn. Maritza, hello. Ooh, looks like we're having a touch of technical issues there. I'll look to get Maritza back as soon as she joins in. Besa, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. Pleasure to be here. I'm Dr. Besa Bauta. I'm Chief Data Officer for First First, and I'm joining everybody from New York. Pleasure to see everyone.
Thank you so much. Maritza, I think you're back if you'd like to intro yourself. Oh, those tech gremlins. See, that's the other side to doing virtual, right? You wouldn't have this in a physical setting. So we've covered both bases. We'll get going and hopefully Maritza will be able to dial in and we'll continue and intro her. So in 30 minutes, we're going to cover quite a lot here, so let's get straight into it. Now, I wanted to start off with talking about talent, because in line in the theme of International Women's Day, I think there's a lot we can do when it comes to attracting and retaining the best talent in our organisations. So I'm keen to know from you, what have you been doing to attract and retain the best talent in your companies? Nirali, I'll come to you first for that one.
When I can learn how to use the mute button. Thank you. So what have we been doing? We have been trying really different ways of attracting the talent. Openreach, as you know, isn't known as a data company. So obviously we have the challenges of trying to get our brand out, and we do these through things like webinars, afternoons or online afternoons, you know, for graduates, etc., to say, come and spend the afternoon with one of our analysts, you know, on a virtual basis. So we're trying different mediums, moving away from your traditional advertise. We do advertise through LinkedIn as well, but we're trying to get through, you know, the LinkedIn medium, Twitter, all the sort of more social media, and do things in a more sort of short and snippy way. So it's, you know, to get our talent in, it's about trying to talk to the population that we're attracting in the way that they want to be communicated to. But it's no easy feast, and it's what I'm personally finding is more time consuming in a good way, because you do a lot more shorter podcasts and that kind of stuff. But that's what we're doing.
Amazing. I love that. Maritza, I think we have you again. So if you'd like to intro yourself and then follow up with answering the question of how you've been attracting and retaining the best talent for your organisation. Goodness me, we're not having much
Catherine,
luck.
I lost
Oh,
you
there we go.
But I'm back. So for us, it's really two things. It is attract and grow. So from an attraction point of view, we are focusing on creating a very competitive value proposition to data and analytics talent through technology and the platform. And that is creative and encourages creative thought, group work, as well as innovation. And then from a grow point of view, we are focused on growing talent within our organization. So that's not only people in the data and analytics teams, but also people outside of the data and analytics teams who are interested in data and analytics and want to pursue a career. So we do secondments, etc. And then the last thing we do is, and this is very much in line with creating a value proposition, is also marketing our company as a company that has experts in data and analytics. So we do a lot.
Oh, goodness me, that was clearly a bombshell, and she's left us. Unfortunately, South Africa isn't well known for having the strongest of internet connections, and of course we'll do our best to get Maritza back. But Besa, I'm keen to know from you how you've been attracting and retaining talent, given that you work in an industry that's increasingly high pressure as well. I'll come to you.
Sure. Thanks, Catherine. So within the healthcare field, I think traditionally, even a lot of the technology fields, they focus on the tech without really thinking, what can we do to create the inclusion of underrepresented groups? So what I look for in candidates, and what we have done, is actually expanded the pool of potential candidates outside, and thinking about bringing individuals that have the critical thinking skills, but not necessarily represented in the technology field, and then providing them the right training and expertise. And actually, most of my team, I have half the group that are technologists, and the other ones tend to come from underrepresented or other fields, as well as other groups, and they're outperforming my technology specific group. And the reason being is that they bring a wealth of experience, number one, but different perspectives, and they tackle problems very differently than if I didn't have them in my team. And sometimes I think it's important to sort of, if you have a candidate, don't discount them immediately, but think about ways to train them and look outside of the traditional field.
I love that. Thinking outside of the box is always a good one. Minna, I'm keen to come to you as well. How have you been looking to attract and retain the best talent?
Yeah, so pretty much the same as previous examples. So we are also being continuously connected and visible in our various networks, and in those same communities where the talent is, we want to share what kind of projects we are working on, just to show the exciting opportunities there are within our company as well, and being there visible in those data science and data communities, and presenting in events and so forth. Then also for us, as we are based in Finland mainly, we also consider international talent. We have actually recruited several talents from even outside Europe, and we have supported them to move to Finland and really become part of our team, which has provided us really a great opportunity to build the diversity of the team, but also being able to really choose the best talent, as the market within Finland only is very limited, and of course these type of talents are very much wanted by other companies as well. And then the third thing that we have been doing and currently are doing, especially for retaining the talent, is that we have defined a career path for our different data roles, and this way we want to make it more concrete and visible for our individuals, that there are several paths that one can grow and develop their skills based on their own individual expertise. So for example, they can proceed in the career path towards more deeper technology skills, or they can grow their skills more on the people side, meaning that becoming managers or leading bigger projects, or becoming sort of those translators between the business and analytics, where then the soft skills are more important than the technology skills. So those are the things that we have been doing.
Thank you so much, Minna. Now, we have had an audience question come in. Lucy, thank you so much for commenting. Now, Lucy asks, I have noticed a large demand from our clients for data engineers. How are you finding innovative ways to attract female engineers? Nirali, would you like to jump in on that one?
Hi, so we've recently just had our job roles and adverts all assessed by an additional external organisation to help us remove any bias towards males or anything else. So they've made them really sort of diverse applications, but which I hadn't realised when I was written some of those, that you'd sort of have a general tendency in those biases, and it has actually increased the number of female candidates we receive for those roles. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you so much. With so many brilliant women on this panel, I'm finding it difficult to negotiate the screen I have in front of me. Perfect. Now, I am conscious of time, so I'm going to move the question ever so slightly. Now, it was brought up previously in the answers already given about the skills that you think are required nowadays for the different roles that we have. Amy, I'm keen to come to you. What skills do you look for in your team nowadays?
Yeah, Catherine, I think the skills that you look for, whether it's for data engineers, data scientists, or frankly, pretty much anybody on my team are really the same. In addition to the technical depth, you're really looking for, really strong communication skills and really good business thinking, because an algorithm is only as good as being able to apply it to a real world business problem and actually have impact, and then be able to communicate that impact to internal stakeholders, or sometimes external clients if it's an external facing project. So I always look to ensure that the talent are bringing a breadth of skills at every level. It's the engineer who's working on a problem also needs that strong business thinking and communication skills, not just the executive who's leading the team. I also think just from some of the previous discussion that one important point that Minna and others raised is around not only really recruiting diverse talent, but also thinking about the inclusion that keeps them there once they arrive. I think a lot of organizations have really stepped up and started thinking about sourcing more diverse candidates But it's also important for organizations to think about how to really retain and grow that talent as well. And so I just wanted to amplify that very important point that some of the ladies made a few moments ago.
100%. I think we're all in agreement that attracting talent is one thing, but then retaining and hanging on and making sure you're upskilling and creating an environment where people are happy and passionate as well is a very different thing as well. JoAnn, I'm keen to come to you as well to know what you look for in your team.
Much like Amy, I think that, we talk a lot about data science skill sets. We talk a lot about analytic skills. We talk a lot about kind of the hard skills, but I'm with Amy that soft skills and the ability to understand data in context and the data design skills. How do you translate a business strategy into a data strategy? How do you begin to think about data as an element, a key element of product design? How do you tell those stories so that you can do that translation between a business problem into a data problem into an analytic inquiry? And then increasingly, how do we have the other types of skills that we need for really the ethical questions that go along with our data age, right? How do we make sure that we understand the impacts of the work we're doing, and which also goes to who we hire, so that we understand kind of how we're forming our data questions. Are we getting enough variety in our data sets as we begin to apply AI and machine learning? Are we forming questions in a way that are open-ended so that we do not have bias in the questions or the analytic inquiry themselves, and then also in the output, right? So all of that becomes very, very important. And when you think about recruiting, it's also important that we start teaching the next generation, right, of students, right? We have a Girls for Tech program at MasterCard that also begins to speak to increasingly data for, right, the data skills that are needed for the next generation. To really understand that variety and different perspectives of all types, women, men, but a variety of perspectives is really going to be important if we're going to really design inclusive products, inclusive services, as we all go forward into the next generation of the information age. And so we look for all of those skills as we hire, because we really want to be creating the next generation of solutions for the planet. And if COVID has taught us anything, right, we are very, very connected, and our products and solutions are connected. And so that kind of open-mindedness is one of the things that we really look for. And it's a hard thing to recruit for, but it's also something that we need to train on as well, as the next generation is developing right in front of us right now.
100%. And I think it's so interesting, as you say, that there are real life implications. If you've got a team that all looks the same, has the same background, and you're making decisions on, as you say, AI models, and we all know, we've spoken about it within our own group about the ethics and the biases that we have to deal with. The importance of having a diverse team and diverse perspective of thought as well is so crucial. And then Katia, I'll come to you for your thoughts on both. What skills do you look for, and how have you been looking to hire the best and retain the best?
Thank you, Catherine. So when I look at the best, there are two ways to assemble what I call a galaxy of stars in a team. One is to go externally when you're starting something new, when the company hasn't quite undertaken a massive digital data and AI transformation. There are certain technical skills that we must get from outside. But I have to tell you, talent is the most important building block of a digital transformation. And so I love people. I do not collect material things. I collect people. And part of the people that I collect are people on my teams. And I hope some of them will hear this, because once someone is on my team, they're always on my team, regardless of what company I'm in. So I look for people outside, but I also look to upskill people from inside. So as we speak, actually at Levi Strauss & Company, we are in the midst of planning a program that will take 45 people from their day jobs, put them in a machine learning bootcamp for 2 months. And when they come out of that bootcamp, which will be their day job for 2 months in a very intense way, they will know coding, they will know Python, they will have worked on real life use cases using Levi Strauss & Company's data and solving Levi Strauss & Company's problems. And then they will be data scientists and data engineers as part of their career for the future. We are committed to doing that in several cohorts through the year. And that is just part of the way to get talent. In terms of the skills I look, obviously technical skills are important. We can inherit them if we hire from outside, but we can also create them, as I just mentioned. And of course, Amy and JoAnn and the rest of the panelists are absolutely right that we also look for communications and business focus. But there are some other things I look for, and they are as follows. One, I look for no ego. So for those of you who may be on my teams or who may want to join my team, check your ego at the door. No prima donnas need apply. This is a team sport. We need people who listen, who are collaborative, and who have an open mind and a can-do attitude. So it's very important to have a no ego, and I do whatever it takes. I've been driving digital transformations at companies for my entire career, 25 years. So if I have to sweep the floor, if that's what it takes, that's what I do, and I expect the same thing from my team, and we do it together. The second thing I look for, and they're not necessarily in that order, they're equally important, is ethical people. There is absolutely no compromise. You could have some of the most technically sophisticated people. If they do not have the right values and high integrity, they're not the right people for my team. There is absolutely no compromise there, because ethical people create ethical data approaches and ethical AI. If we don't start in that way, then it's a non-starter. And then the other thing I look for is resilience and optimism. It is hard to be driving a digital transformation for any company, and particularly for companies that are brand names, global, all over the world, with iconic receptions and reputations. But even there, it's hard. So we want people who are committed to doing whatever it takes, who don't get too tired, and who will keep going. And that is very important. So that's what I look for in both internal and external hires for my team.
Goodness me. So there you go. You've heard it here first. So if you fancy joining Katia's team after all of that, then be sure to connect with her and reach out for certain. Now, I'm going to turn the attention to the last part of this brilliant panel today, to sharing a story. Given that it's International Women's Day, I'd love for each of you to bring a short story to the surface of perhaps how you were encouraged into this field, or perhaps an example of how you've been choosing to challenge. Of course, that is the theme to International Women's Day today. And whilst I give you all chance to think about the story you might want to share, I'm happy to share mine, which is the fact that I get to do these sorts of conversations with brilliant executives like yourself. As I said at the top of the conversation, we started this in September after the launch of our top 100 list, and we had such a great time, and many of you said that it was really great value to you to be able to think through these topics, and we kept going and we kept going and we kept going, and here we are all these months later. So thank you very much for giving up your time to increase the discussion around data analytics, and of course by doing so increasing the exposure to brilliant women in this field, which I don't think is done enough and we can always improve on. So thank you for choosing to challenge that very important issue. So that's my piece said and done, but enough from me. I want to hear from you. So Amy, I'm going to come to you first. What story would you like to share?
Yeah, so my entry into this field, I 100% owe to my father. When I went off to college, he said it's extremely important to take classes in analytics. The term data science hadn't been invented when I went to school, but operations research was the term du jour back then, computer science, etc. He said it will be important no matter what you do in your life, as well as just being a human on planet Earth. Statistics, data are everywhere. Look at what's in the newspaper these days about the COVID vaccines. A basic understanding of analytics is very helpful in just sort of understanding the different vaccines and their efficacy. And so I really owe this all to my dad, and that makes me think to make sure that women out there, as you're going through your career, are thinking not only about women mentors that can be helpful, but men as well. I've been very fortunate to have a number of fantastic male mentors throughout my career, and would encourage both men and women out there to think how you can help the next generation of folks in this field. So want to say a big thank you not only to my dad, but to all the men out there who are mentoring women, as well as the women who are mentoring women as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Nirali, I'll come to you.
Hi, so my positive story is when I was back, similar to Amy's, I was back at secondary school and I wanted to do computer science A-level. So that's just before you go off to university. And my IT teacher supported me through that, went and found the right A-level course for me to do and helped me through that. And through that, I've ended up in the field of data and analytics and, digital and insight. So it's just like, finding those people. Teachers are a great area where you can get a source of inspiration and direction in your career. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. I can sense a theme emerging here, that there's key people in your stories and in your journeys that have really helped you onto that path. So my suggestion to the audience is think about how you could be that key person to someone as well. Minna, I'll come to you for your story.
Yeah, I have a more recent story, but it's also an inspirational leadership story. And so 3.5 years ago, when I started in my current organization, I was really given the opportunity to basically define what the role is about, and I was giving freedom to really do the work. And my time told me that I just need to let her know what I need, and the organization is there to expect me to guide us to become a data savvy organization, and then to be able to shift data capabilities where they need to be to succeed with the digital transformation. So with that, I felt that I was really empowered because I was heard, I was seen, I was trusted by the new organization, but at the same time I was giving the support that I needed. And then the manager at the time, she was also not letting me go easily, so she was pushing me to take the extra mile, but in a way that I always felt that I had the support. And this is something I feel that has pushed me forward in big leaps, and also something that now as a leader myself, I also want to make sure that I treat my colleagues in the same way, and every now and then I try to kind of stop and think that am I doing this same for others, and how could I do the same and help them to feel also heard and seen and trusted, and still providing the support.
Thank you so much, Minna. It's so important. Being heard and seen is just absolutely crucial. Katia, I'll come to you for your positive story.
Well, my positive story is actually not positive, but there is a reason I'm going to share it. If I had listened to a teacher back when I was a child, I would not be in this field, because when I was growing up, the country I was growing up in was quite sexist, and girls were not expected to be good in technical fields, but boys were. So I was 8 years old, somewhere there, second grade, when my main teacher, a woman nonetheless, told me that I was bad at math. And for years, I thought I was bad at math. And it was not until my doctoral program in the United States, when I got the good fortune of working with men and women professors who opened my eyes to the magic of statistics and all the wonderful things that statistics could do. And I just fell in love and became just a lifelong student of quantitative methodology, statistics, data science. And the reason I'm sharing this story is that, one, we should be motivated by no's as much as we are motivated by yeses. Don't let a no stop you. And two, it's never too late to get into this field. Some of you started earlier. I started later, but I'm just as excited as I would have been if I had started earlier. So thank you for giving me this chance to share the story.
I absolutely love this. I knew this would be a good segment. It's just so empowering. Fantastic. JoAnn, over to you if you'd like to share your story.
Sure. It's a little bit similar, but with a little bit of a twist. So I first have to thank my uncle, because he encouraged me to, like many of the others, get engaged in computer science, but it wasn't my main passion. So while I was getting my first degree in college, I was an accounting major. I got an associate's in computer science, mostly because my uncle said, it's going to be important. It's going to be important. You should understand it, right? But I didn't really use it. I didn't put it to great use. It made me aware of what was happening in the business world. But I went on and I became a lawyer. And as many of you know, I was first a privacy lawyer, which is kind of the lawyer for the data folks, right? And so it wasn't until really the GDPR was enacted in Europe when the operational compliance with data became so important, and we had to redesign a whole bunch of our systems for compliance with that law. That I kept saying, as the chief privacy officer here at MasterCard, we need somebody who's going to be in charge of our data. We need somebody who's going to be in charge of our data. And I kept saying that to the general counsel, to the CFO, to our CEO, and I kept saying, as we were designing these systems and designing these processes, I kept saying, who's going to be doing that work? And they all just kept saying to me, you just keep designing it. You just keep designing it. Well, of course, the story ends with them offering me the chance to, much like Minna, take the position forward, which of course comes full circle to kind of Katia's story of, you never quite know when you're going to take tools out of your toolkit and use them, which makes me think of some of my mentors, which Amy mentioned. I had a mentor along the way, a male mentor, who taught me the value of operating at the margins of your ignorance, was a phrase that he would use. And he would say anybody can operate using the things that they're comfortable with, their strengths, right? The things that they know they're good at. But to really expand your entire career, you should constantly be pushing at the margins of your ignorance, meaning get stronger and stronger at the things you don't know. And I know I'm going to speak for most of my colleagues here on the panel that all of us have to learn every single day because the data universe keeps on changing and growing and expanding. And so that advice has kept me probably a lifelong learner. And I would encourage everybody to operate at the margins of their ignorance. I have never forgotten that conversation with him. And I think it's probably one of the best lessons I've ever learned. And so I share that with all the folks in the audience as well, because I think that probably has been the best piece of advice I've ever gotten, to just keep on learning and keep on adding to your toolkit. So a tool that I started with a long time ago when I was in college comes full circle to my position today, along with a whole bunch of other tools, but yet learning, right, is really the ultimate thing that I think, and the ability to continuously add to your toolkit is probably the best part of my story, Catherine. So I'll leave it there.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for sharing, JoAnn. And thank you to the audience who are sending in their thoughts as well. And I know there are a couple of questions. Unfortunately, we don't have time to answer them on this panel, but I will ask our brilliant speakers to pop into the comments after we're done here so that you can have some written replies as well. Besa, how about you? What positive story would you like to bring to us on International Women's Day?
Sure. So, I mean, there's some amazing stories here, and actually my story resonates across the board. I have different experiences growing up, but one of the most important person in my life is actually a colleague of mine that I met in graduate school. And she has been not only a mentor, but also a sponsor, including thinking when I couldn't do those stretch projects that she was there to support me and actually open different doors and help me even when I was in, finishing my doctorate as well. And when I applied and actually started working, I was very fortunate to have, different mentors, including a supervisor who gave me those different projects and said, and at one point I was like, I don't think I could do this. And he's like, yes, you can. He's like, I believe in your ability to actually do this project. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish it. But one of the most important thing, I think, it wasn't the ability to do that, but his belief in my ability to actually accomplish something and actually take on a very challenging task. So sometimes it's, not necessarily the folks in your network. You have to think about who is there to support you in that process. And the nays also help as well.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for sharing. And then last but not least, and we've all got to cross our fingers that the South African Wi-Fi holds out for us. Maritza, would you like to share your story?
Hi, Catherine. Yes, I'm so happy that I finally get a chance to contribute. So as a South African who grew up in the 80s in an extremely divided society, I grew up with or in a thought pattern that only certain people can progress in life and can have great jobs and have great careers. And I remember in 1994, I was about 4 months pregnant, and I was so lucky I could see the first Nelson Mandela speech in Cape Town. And I remember I was just surrounded by this huge crowd of people, so diverse and, you know, of all creeds and colors. And it was amazing. It was one of the most uplifting and incredible experiences of my life. And if you think about how far we have come as a society, where we are so not only aware of diversity, but so incredibly supportive through our recruitment processes and every single other organizational process. And what it has taught me is that nothing is impossible. And when people say to you, this is just never going to work, it's never going to happen, just look at South Africa and look at what we have achieved. So whether you are male or female, black, white, doesn't matter what religion you are, you know, there's no limitations to what you can achieve. And I'm so happy that I can raise my children in a society where diversity is celebrated.
Absolutely. Now, that is a bombshell to end a fantastic discussion on. Again, thank you, each of you, for spending so much time with us every month, but especially on today, International Women's Day. It's lovely to speak to you as always. Now, I've been a bit cheeky by overrunning by 5 minutes, but I hope you'll agree it was absolutely worth it. The stories and just advice shared in there was absolutely fantastic. Now, do remember to follow us on socials so you are kept up to date when we next go LinkedIn Live. I do appreciate that sometimes you may have just been scrolling your newsfeed and found us. So if you've only watched part of this and you want to catch up on the whole thing, don't worry. We will be placing this video along with a short write-up onto the Business of Data platform shortly. And on that note, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, because that will give you access to our weekly newsletter, our podcast, our reports, our articles, and so much more. But a final note from me, I hope you have a brilliant International Women's Day, and I hope you go forward and celebrate the fantastic ladies in your life.